The four horsemen of the Apocalypse are four biblical figures who appear in the book of Revelation. They are revealed by the unsealing of the first four of the seven seals. Each of the horsemen represents a different facet of the apocalypse. The first horse, a white one, seems bent on conquest. Revelation 6 verse 2. Its rider wears a crown and holds a bow. Some people have attributed the rider of this horse as the person of Jesus, as later in Revelation 19 Jesus rides a white horse. The bow the white horseman carries can represent violence. After 3.5 years of peace, Daniel 9 verse 27, he will wage war upon the saints. Under another interpretation, the first horseman is called pestilence and is associated with infectious disease and plague. It appears at least as early as 1906 in the Jewish Encyclopedia. This particular interpretation is common in popular culture references to the four horsemen. In his 1916 novel The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, filmed in 1921 and 1962, provides an early example of this interpretation, writing, "The horseman on the white horse was clad in a showy and barbarous attire. While his horse continued galloping, he was bending his bow in order to spread pestilence abroad. At his back swung the brass quiver filled with poisoned arrows, containing the germs of all diseases. When the second seal is broken, out comes a bright red horse, the color of blood." Revelation 6 verse 4. King James Version. "And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword." The common interpretation of the red horseman is that he represents war. This is because he is wielding a sword upright as though he is in battle. This is paired with the color of the horse being red, which is a symbol of fire or blood and tends to carry the implication of bloodshed. Furthermore, in military symbolism, swords held upward or crossed signify war and battle. However, it is important to note that the type of war this horseman represents is not conquest like the first horseman. Rather, it represents civil conflict, and many believe it to represent the persecution of Christians. The rider on the black horse, Famine. Revelation 6 verse 5. King James Version. "And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld. And lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand." The most popular interpretation of the third horseman is that it is representative of famine. This is usually attributed to his holding of the weighing scales, which is indicative of the way bread would have been weighed. In addition, the appearance of the third horseman is usually that of an emaciated man. What's intriguing about the third horseman is that he is the only one whose voice is heard. John hears a voice that speaks of the prices of food. It says, Revelation 6 verse 6. King James Version, "And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." It suggests that the black horseman's famine is caused by an increase in the price of grain. This could be explained by the fact that grain crops were more naturally susceptible to famine years or locust plagues in contrast to olive trees. This in turn furthers the theory that the black horseman is a representative of famine. The rider on the pale horse, Death. Revelation 6 verse 8. King James Version. "And I looked, and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth." The fourth horseman is named as Death, and he is the only horseman that is explicitly named, while the King James Version of the Bible states that it's hell that followed death. In many other versions it's said that he is followed by Hades. This is important to note, as unlike the other horsemen, he does not carry a weapon or object. He is instead followed by the resting place of the dead. He is also the only one of the four horsemen not depicted as human. The pale color of the fourth horse is thought to represent fear, sickness, decay, and death, while the color of this horse is called pale. The original Greek word, chloros, can also translate to greenish yellow or pallid. Rather than pale, the color seems to more accurately depict a sickly pallor. The 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse bear a marked similarity to the 4 sets of horses, are similarly depicted in the book of Zechariah, 6 verse 1-8, the second to last book in the Old Testament. The text in the book of Zechariah, 6 verse 1-5, reads as follows: "And again I lifted my eyes and saw, and behold, 4 chariots came out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of bronze. The first chariot had red horses, the second black horses, the third white horses, and the fourth chariot dappled gray horses. Then I said to the angel who talked to me, 'What are these, my lord?' And the angel answered me, 'These are going forth to the 4 winds of heaven, after presenting themselves before the Lord of all the earth.'" In Zechariah, all of the horses and riders are servants of Yahweh. If these horses are the same 4 horses and riders as the 4 horsemen, this would suggest that the rider of the white horse in the book of Revelation is not the Antichrist, who is depicted in Revelation as a servant of Satan. After each of the first 4 seals is opened to reveal the 4 horsemen, a 5th seal is opened. It reveals a great slaughter of martyrs persecuted because of their faith in God's word. The 6th seal reveals a great earthquake and heavenly portents such as the sun turning black and moon turning red, as mighty rulers flee from the impending wrath of the Lamb. The author also reports a vision of 144,000 saints, who will be sealed by the Lamb to protect them from the coming tribulations. The 7th seal reveals 7 angels, each with a trumpet, which when blown reveals additional calamities. All of this is but a precursor to more disasters, temptations, and finally the second coming of Christ. This view believes that the book of Revelation is a prophecy of future events to come, which will occur shortly before the second coming of Christ. None of the 4 horsemen has appeared yet. The historicist view regards the prophecy in Revelation as being in the process of being fulfilled. That process started at the end of the 1st century, and will continue through the second coming of Christ. Full preterism describes the belief that these events were fulfilled with the fall of Jerusalem and the destruction of the Temple of Jerusalem in 70 CE by the Roman Empire, which is identified in Revelation as the beast, thus initiating the start of the Christian age. The allegorical or spiritual view does not see the contents of the book of Revelation as literal, rather its language is symbolic, and each generation can read and interpret it in their own way. The various visions in the book of Revelation express eternal spiritual truths and struggles that are without any literal or historical application. Revelation is seen as having several levels of meaning, which range from a strict and literal interpretation to an interpretation that cannot be understood and interpreted only on the basis of one's intellect.